wait a minute. What? Oh, there we go. We're live on Instagram. Okay, welcome everyone to Deconstructing Singer's Genius. Also with the little caveat I've got in here is that great singers are not perfect, but that's why they're better. So what are we trying to say? Well, it's a misnomer. We're going to do some myth busting today. That great singers, or a goal for a great singer, should be perfectly on pitch and perfectly on rhythm. And with today's technology, I don't have to use my ear anymore. I can make it very clear to people that that's not what you want to learn. And Ken B. Lang here, my guest, not to be confused with K.D. Lang, different sex.
Different initial.
Different initial.
Different
Well, that's the whole point there. Yeah, different. So anyway, he's my guest, a student of mine. So we're going to actually do some learning today. I'm going to be teaching him exactly what we're talking about, and you all get to watch and see how it goes. So what's happening with K.D. Lang music-wise?
Well, it's that time of year, and it's time to have some Christmas music. So been pulling that out and polishing it up. Got a whole new song that I wrote called "I Got a New Guitar for Christmas."
I love
which
that.
This year is true, but it's also true about a few other years long ago and far away.
Other years.
Other years. Many moons.
How can they be far away? Long ago. So, but that's right. You were back in the South, weren't you?
Back, very far away. My first real guitar was a 12-string Tokai. I think they're still made in Japan. And I played that. And I don't know what happened to it. I think I either gave it away or it just ran out of gas, as many instruments do.
My first guitar was a Univox. It was a rip-off of a Les Paul. That's all I could afford at the time.
Now they have what they call Chibsons, which are imitations from China. People get them on Temu and order them, and there's a whole Facebook group dedicated to those. And then there's Chartons, which are Martins. And they don't seem to have much luck. Most of them come all crunched up in the box. So it's and Chenders. I think there's a few Chenders out there too. What's interesting is they basically take the box and drop in different, upgrade the electronics. And for the most part, they say they're very playable.
The Univox it wasn't bad.
Yeah, I've never been a Gibson Les Paul fan. The tuners, and it always felt a little just strange to me in terms of the way that it played. It wasn't as fluid as what I like. So
when do you think you're going to get your first house gig?
Oh, I don't know. That's my New Year's program, is to do at least 3 or 4 house concerts during the year. I think with a little bit of work, I can probably make that happen.
Excellent.
And I don't do resolutions. I do a whole full-on
goal setting
programs. Yes, sometimes with a theme.
What was the word you used?
A program.
Oh, program.
Yeah. Program. I use a program. So one year, my program was just built around asking questions and learning how to ask questions. And basically, that meant I had to spend a whole year being quiet and listening, which is a challenge, as you know, for me. So, but I did learn how to do that and ask better questions, and actually listen a little better, so I don't have to ask questions.
And what are you doing for your UNLV?
Oh, I have been teaching in what was once called the Continuing Education Department, which is for adult learners and community learners. And we have a new sheriff in town and a new structure. It's now called Lifelong Learning. And there'll still be a lot of the classes that are fun. You take learning a language or doing art, or one of my favorites was they had a sommelier class, which I never could take, but or partake, as the case may be. I've always been in the nonprofit section, which also is part of leadership development. And as part of that process, we're developing a whole bucket full of new courses, so that
Bucketful,
people
that's-
can take a group of courses and get a whole credential, or they can take or certificate that they can then use and tell their future prospective employers about, and that within each of those there are micro-credentials. So if you take 7 hours of a class, you get a micro-credential. If you take 4 of the classes, or maybe 5, you get the whole thing. So it should be really interesting. I think we're going to have a different clientele, and that the marketing will be much more focused than it was in the past. We'll see. With every new endeavor comes some issues. But I'm now on the 3rd micro-credential of the organizational leadership program. So we're going to have leadership and innovation, systems thinking, leadership and creativity, adaptive leadership.
Wow.
So it's been a lot of fun to create the courses, and right now we're not doing the materials, but for this last class on systems thinking, I did some of the materials. So we use case studies, and with adult learners, as you know, they don't like to be talked to, they like to talk with. So we create those kind of situations. Lots of work on Canvas, which is the UNLV learning thing, where I can put in all of my stuff, and the students share that. Not unlike what we're doing today. It's just with academic stuff while you're Zooming over here. And but I think we're going to be focused more on live teaching, which is that I like that the best.
Yeah.
I think Zoom definitely has some limitations, and you can't get at the bad kid in the back of the room who you know is not listening because their face isn't on the screen, and because they paid for the class. If they don't want to come on, they don't have to.
Well, I guess you could say that's their loss. Huh?
Plus, it's more fun to perform some of this stuff and be a little more dramatic. You can only do so much of this on Zoom.
Right. And then that would be Ken Lang then under that.
Yeah,
looking
or
for Ken Lang,
as my stage name for UNLV is, it's Kenneth Lang.
Oh, Kenneth Lang. Well, very,
So
very
I got
official.
My whole thing is, yeah, you can call me Ken, or as they say, my friends call me KB, and that's what my mother yelled when she needed me
Yeah.
to come quickly, or I was in trouble.
So I'm going to put up Alison Krauss's image here. So tell us why you wanted to learn from her. And I think just say a little bit about the fact that she is Americana, right?
Yes, country Americana. She plays the fiddle.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, and that really was my first brush up with her. And as she's moved on, her band was called Union Station, and just really, really great music. She draws on the kind of the old traditional stuff and does some new stuff. Now she's been working with Robert Plant.
I saw that. That's
Which
amazing.
is just really interesting to see where they go with the music.
Yeah.
And they obviously enjoy working with each other because it looks like they're having a lot of fun. But the thing about her voice, and this is why I brought it to you, is that as you listen to it, there's a clarity that doesn't always exist in Americana. It's sweet, but it's not.
Yeah, and it's not
You know.
like overly clean so that it's overbearing either.
Correct. It's a voice. She has a voice that you'd like to listen to just talking, as opposed to other folks who may be a little chewy on in their vocals. And I think actually when she does speak, she's fairly soft in the way that she speaks. So
she might even be a coloratura. I haven't had a chance to take a look at her low range, but her timbre is. Do you happen to know how tall she is?
I do not, but it depends on how tall Robert Plant is, and I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how tall he is.
Yeah, well,
She's probably about 5'8",
Yeah.
5'9", and that. She's not. I don't think she's short.
Maybe not. Then that's no guarantee. You know, the size of the person does not guarantee what they are. But the color of her voice, at least the way she's using it in this song, the little bit of chance I had to listen to it, it sounds like a coloratura, which means it's very high pitched, but it's very pleasant. You know, it's not irritating. It's not the Dolly Parton kind of scratchy sound. But we're going to be taking a look at her to learn what is real in this industry, what actually is happening. So we're going to remove her, and I'm going to take a look at her on Melodyne, and I'll explain that as we go along. But first thing I need to do is put it in the screen, guys, for you guys to watch. So we're going to share that screen, and there it is. Okay. Put it up on the stage so you guys can see it. Ta-dum, ta-dum. All right, so these golden images here are affectionately in the industry called blobs. Nobody laughs because it's pretty.
No, it's accurate.
Yeah, I know, but it's pretty common. I'm going to make one adjustment here. So we're going to look at both timing and pitch. Based on this, I think I'm going to go with, I went with 16th notes, but I don't think that's going to be a good idea. We're going to go with 8th notes. So, everyone knows private coaching is fluid. Being in the recording studio is fluid. So don't expect things to be just laid out for you so that we can save time. This is for learning. And this is for the real world, so that you understand what it is you really want to do. If you want to be a great singer like KB Lang, hey, there you go.
Hey, I'll take it.
Yeah, like Alison Krauss.
On a good day.
Yeah, or what we call the greatest singers of all time. We need to really see what it is they're actually doing. And the 21st century is offering us two things. Melodyne, I think, might have been around in the 20th century. I'm not sure. But definitely the 21st century, it is the standard for editing. I don't use it for editing. We're not going to be editing Alison Krauss. But Melodyne makes it so the mix engineer can see the vocals before he makes adjustments, before they make adjustments, excuse me. So we're going to look at what does Alison Krauss's voice look like. So I'm going to play just this little bit section of this very famous song, Nothing at All, which has probably been covered by many, many different artists. But this is the one section that we've decided that we want to learn today. So here's the playing of it, just so you know kind of what these blobs are going to be looking like.
The touch of your hand says you'll catch me if ever I fall.
Now, the next thing I want to talk about is called a stem splitter. So you might have wondered, well, where's the music? Well, with a stem splitter, I was able to remove her voice as if I owned the can, what they used to call the can, where I could only have her voice of all the 16 or 20 or 30 tracks. I've only got her voice. So this is a great new technology. I also wanted to point out how much reverb. Let's play that again. Listen to how much reverb. Reverb is not a cheat, and when we play it with Audacity, you'll barely notice it. But listen to how much reverb they use in the real world.
The touch of your hand says you'll catch me if ever I fall.
Now, Audacity does not read reverb, so that's not really an issue here. But Alison Krauss, and if you watched any of our, Ken's and I's last show with Todd, what was his last name? Todd? Snyder. There's quite a contrast between the two artists. But they're both considered Americana. But having watched a lot of these images, I can tell you Alison is one of the more pitch pure artists, especially in Americana. So this first pitch here, you can see within this square box, from left to right, this is pitch. So right here it says E flat major. So she's actually singing an E flat major right there. And if I play it, which I can do here with Melodyne, I mean that's right on. And it tells us that in this little box up here, we can see the name of the note, E flat 4, and that she's only 3% flat, which in commercial music is dead on. I mean, I see 0 occasionally, but -3 is close enough. And another little thing that's nice about Melodyne is it shows that there's this little glissando that comes up here that you really don't notice. So I'm going to make it a little bit clearer. Let's see, I just need to hide that. So that I can move her vocal just a little bit. Let me get her back out here. Yeah, there we go. So this little thing right here is just before the first line. So here we go. Check it out.
The touch of your hand.
So right here, the touch, that's almost an octave. G to E flat. That's a major 6, excuse me. These things you don't necessarily hear. I mean, listen to it again.
The touch of your hand says you.
But it is there, and there actually is a pitch, and it's 14% sharp. No big deal. So touch of your right now, and what we're myth busting again. Remember, is pitch is not perfect in today's world, in today's commercial music. It might still be in opera, but it's not in our world. So when I point this out, we're going to see it's -17% flat. Again, not huge, but it's there. And it creates colors. Now this one here is almost between the two notes. So it's a -45% flat. And then these are pretty on here again. We won't have to go through every one of these notes. I'm just trying to point something out here. This one's a little sharp, actually. We don't see a lot of that. This kind of image here is inflection, right? By the time she gets to the actual pitch, she's pretty much right on. These little curvature lines are vibrato. Her vibrato is pretty erratic, which would, again, not be a classical phenomenon. It's more of today's music. That's only 1% sharp and only 1% flat. So it's just pretty clean. And rhythm-wise, again, people think, oh, you got to be in the pocket. You got to be the touch of your hand. No, it's not like that. So if we look at this here, she goes, this is late. You can see by the square box the timing. This note I didn't point out. This is quite flat, by the way, 50% flat. Here we are. We're right in the middle of the quarter, the 8th note. So if we went to 16th notes, maybe we could see that it's actually 16th note, but it's not worth it. Here she's got the inflection, or not the inflection, the consonant is just ahead of this, so the vowel starts right on the beat. Early here, really early here. Who knows what's going on here? The vibrato is interesting, though. She's early here, early here, early here. Pretty much right on. You can see this little lines drawn between these two notes. So this is pretty close to where it ends, and where it starts is pretty much right on. And where this ends is, again, right in the middle of the 8th note. And this is why we can't use music theory to figure out how to learn from these people. We're not going to try to learn from Melodyne. This is just a way of helping you understand that where we're heading is not for perfect pitch and not for perfect rhythm. That's not our goal, because it doesn't work, folks. And I'll show you why. That's the next thing. So let me stop sharing this. Let's see here. Remove from the screen. Okay, there we go. And now I'm going to show you what sheet music looks like and how it affects our learning process. Okay, that's in guests. Oh, here we go. Okay. Share screen. And there it is right there. Okay, so here's sheet music. Let me put it on the stage. Of Alison Krauss singing the same line. But this is sheet music, so it's not really Alison Krauss, even though her name is on the sheet music. I don't know if she wrote it or not. I forgot to look. But if we look at the way sheet music works, and we look at what we just heard versus what sheet music looks like, this is what we hear. You see, so that's nothing at all like what Alison Krauss sounds like. Now, one of the reasons that I show this to you all is because if you're working with a pianist or a voice teacher or somebody who's playing those notes for you on the piano and you're matching those, you're not anywhere near Americana sounding. It's hard to say what you would sound like, but it would not be Americana. It would be too much on pitch, too much on rhythm. And then if you over-pronunciate, like many people will tell you to do, a touch of your hand, you know, again, that is not Americana. You're going to be in the wrong style. You're going to be in musical theater or classical. And there's nothing wrong with classical. There's nothing wrong with musical theater. There's nothing wrong with choir. The only point we're trying to make here is that this is different, and Ken wants to be in the Americana. And I want to teach him in the Americana because these are my expertise. Okay. Any questions about that, Ken, so far? Anything we're doing?
Nope.
Oh, he put the brick up. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking for a way to blur out that messy background.
There you go.
there.
It's blurred.
Yeah, it's really not too helpful. I think we're just going to show the rest of the room here.
Well, it shows personality.
Yes, that's a lot of personality.
And we like personality, especially when we're live. Okay, so we've moved on from the sheet music. So anyway, back in the day when we had pianists playing for our students, I never really liked this, but it was the only way we could do it. I noticed that when the pianist would play the notes for the singer and the singer would sing those notes, it never sounded like rock and roll or pop or whatever. It just didn't feel right. But I didn't have any options at that point. But now with the thing called Audacity, which is what we're going to head into next, I have major options on helping you master this style of music. So we're going to go to Audacity. There it is. Now, to save a little bit of time live, I did get all this ready for Ken. So, but if he just came in and said, "Hey, you know, this is what I want to do," then we'd have to be going to YouTube, pulling up a track. Then I would be stem splitting it, which I've got here, and I will show Ken how that's particularly valuable, because I think it'd be great for everybody to know if we stem split, we have complete control of Alison's voice, volume-wise. So we can quiet her down a little bit, or we can remove her completely, and then we have Union Station as our background band, and that's great too because the feel of singing is dependent partially on the feel of the rhythm section. So if we have something that sounds like classical music for the rhythm section, and we're trying to sing rhythm and blues, that's a tough way to go. All right, so let me show you how to use this. You can use this in Logic as well, but this is a simpler version. And the reason I say Logic is Ken has that. But I've marked a place approximately where she starts that line. And what I'm going to do is click play. And when it gets to the end of the phrase, I'm going to click pause. And I'll explain why I'm only choosing one phrase in a moment.
But when you hold me near, you drown out the crowd.
Okay, so that's the phrase we saw on Melodyne, and this is the phrase we're going to work on. What I've created here is, you're not on stage.
Got the same phrase?
Here we go. You weren't even on stage. Okay, so now you actually can see what I'm doing. I thought so. Isn't it something at all? Isn't that what we just did here on the sheet music? A touch of your hand says.
Okay, in the section that she actually goes down.
Am I ahead of it or behind it? Do you think?
I think you're ahead of it if you. Touch of your hand.
Well, let me play it and see how it goes. Let's see where it goes.
But when you hold me near, you drown out the crowd. Oh, Mr. Webster could never define
this it?
Lets me know.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this is the line here. Okay. Unfortunately, there's harmonies in there, but I thought at the beginning of the song, is there not harmonies in that same section? It's not a
I
big
do not
problem,
remember.
but all right. Let me take it back a little bit and play it here.
The smile on your face lets me know that you need me. There's a truth in your eyes saying you'll never leave me. The touch of
Is that it right there?
says you'll catch me if ever I fall.
Is that it? Or?
That's the line. But
Okay.
That's not what you had in Melodyne.
Okay. Oh.
Because she goes
What do I
up
got?
and then comes down. On that one, she goes, nothing at all.
Let's
Touch
see.
you, do.
So let me play that.
The touch of your hand says you'll catch me if ever I fall.
That's what you had.
All right. So that's later. That's 140. That's bar-wise. That's 142 bars. And
So
Melodyne
that's
is
closer to the
to the end. Then.
end of the song. But it's interesting. At the beginning, she's taking it up and building tension in it. And at the end, she's kind of a denouement.
Well, let's see what's happening here then.
One of the few.
The smile on your face lets me know that you need me. There's a truth in your eyes saying you'll never leave me.
Maybe this is it.
The touch of
Oh, here it
your
is.
hand says you'll catch me if ever I fall.
There we go. Okay. Of course, it doesn't have to be this line. Would you rather work on something else, Ken?
Well, the classic part of that is the one at the beginning. Ever I fall.
The one that I just played?
No.
No.
So go back to
Let's go back to the beginning.
the beginning.
Uh,
There we go, little applause.
yeah, we'll
We
start
would have.
where she's singing.
It's amazing how you can speak right to my heart
Notice no over pronunciation, everyone.
without saying no word. You can light up the door. Try as I may, I could never explain what I hear when you don't say a thing. The smile on your face lets me know that you need me. There's a truth in your eyes saying you'll never leave me. The touch of your hand says you'll catch me if ever I fall.
Is that the one?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
If ever I fall.
Yeah, nice line there too. A little bit of complexity, not a lot, but just enough. Okay,
ever
let
I
me-
fall.
So I'm going to try to mark. Try meaning that it takes trial and error. But I'm going to try to find approximately before that phrase starts, so that we have a little bit of a lead in, and then we'll take a look at that actual phrase.
Says you'll catch me if ever I fall.
Well, that was it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go
So
back
can
farther.
you expand the waveform so that you can,
Make it bigger?
yeah,
Sure.
not tall but wide there.
Yeah.
Maybe you can grab it. It's a little easier to grab when it's, for me.
No, I hear you. So it might be here, 'cause,
And if I really want to cut
The
stuff
smile
out,
Yeah, there we
on
go.
your face lets me know that you need me. There's a truth in your eyes saying you'll never leave
and right
me.
here.
The touch of
Okay, so right there, we'll start a little bit ahead of that. Yeah, these, everyone, you should see where these spaces are. It kind of helps us know when she stops and starts her singing. That's what KB is alluding to. What I'm going to do here is I'm starting here. When I click play, when I start where I think we want to start, then when we get to the end of the phrase, I click pause. And you'll see what happens when I do that.
saying you'll
click pause, it creates two pencil lines, is what Audacity calls these things. So now I can highlight between these, and you want to make sure you get both tracks. It looks like 4 tracks, but this is really only track 1 and track 2. So now that I have this highlighted, I can do what I want with it as far as tempo change and pitch change and the things that we want to use to learn with. And I can loop it with this little box right here. Very simple. So let's talk about the way that most people try to learn a song like this. And Ken and I talked about it on the last live stream, but I think it's always worth bringing up because we never know who's watching. What both of us did is that we put the record on, whether it was vinyl or cassette or digital or whatever, click play, and then just start singing along if we had the lyrics until we got from the beginning to the end of the song. And the problem with that is it's way too much information for the mind to assimilate, so we do it over and over again. Then the problem is that because we're singing along with Alison, we're singing in the wrong key because it's the wrong feel, and we're not really hearing what Alison's doing. We're not really hearing the details. And so I've changed the way I teach people to learn songs. I've changed the way I would learn a song, even though I don't perform much anymore, to doing it in segments. Because the new neuroscientists say that, if you try to focus too long on one thing, you'll just miss a whole bunch of stuff. So they're saying chop things up, focus for 10 or 15 minutes, then move on to something else, and then come back to it. That way your neural pattern has a chance to sink in without being confused by a whole bunch of other information. Does that sound about right to you, Ken?
Yeah, well, it's in keeping with how my very first piano teacher, you'd do it a line at a time. You might only do 2 lines in a lesson. There's a famous child psychologist whose name was Piaget. He used concepts of you accommodate and then you assimilate. And if you overload,
Yes.
you're not going to assimilate because your mind is still like trying to grapple with it. So you do as much as you can, or what makes sense with the music.
Mm-hmm.
So to kind of recapsulate, I would sit down, and once I'd listened through this and was kind of able to sing along with it, then I get on my yellow pad and start writing the stuff down. The danger is always, for me, is going back to the beginning because I know it well.
Right.
And by the time you get to the 3rd or 4th verse, it tends to no longer be assimilated. It's just no more fun anymore. So I got the first verse, I'm good, that's all I
Right.
need to know. So I know a lot of 1st and 2nd verses, and then I got to get out the book for the 3rd and 4th, simply because it just was, and you really I really have to work it if I want to get all the way to the end of a 5 or 6 verse song.
Well, and your piano teacher was right on, and musicians, as a rule, do learn by segment. And part of this philosophy, if you will, or technique that I'm teaching is based on how I learned as a musician. I took one phrase at a time. I took 2 or 3 chords at a time, or maybe even 1 chord at a time, because I couldn't figure out what they were playing. And if you don't do that, you miss it. You just miss a ton of stuff. But singers have never really adapted this. My voice teacher didn't do this. I've never been to a voice teacher that did this. They just said, okay, sing your song. And then when I got to a spot that they wanted to correct me on, then they would take that section and we would work on it just for that. But it wasn't for learning the song. It was for technical corrections.
Yeah, well, I think one of the ways I would differentiate that is that there's the karaoke kind of learning where you're singing along and you're just blasting it out and you're going to the end and maybe you have the words in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
That's one piece. To dig into a song. So when I'm writing, I may practice 3 notes over and over again, or change one of those notes to see what happens till I find something I like. Remember Tears for an Angel? There was a section in there, a long bridge that was just impossible to find an ending to. There was another line in there that was a little funky. It's still a little funky, but it's better.
Right.
But yeah, so like listening to a song like this and breaking it into segments. The other thing is, and I've said this before, as you pick up her interpretation of the music, you can then move into where you think you would go. So even if you played the instrumental track, you would have your own thing going on, because we all speak differently.
And that's where we're heading. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually, we're not even going to bother playing it at the original tempo, because even though she's not singing very fast and there's nothing really difficult in here, there's a lot of little inflections and things that we need to hear. So what I do is, now that I have this marked, I go to Effect, which you can't see, unfortunately, on Audacity, because this is a Mac and it's all up the top where it's not screen sharing. But I'm going to select Tempo. Now this box you can see. Now for her, and this line, I think minus 40% might be a little bit too much. So we're just going to go minus 20. And again, nothing is in stone here. We may go through several different versions of this before we decide what we want to do. And now we're at minus 20%. If you use Audacity, you always want to check this use high quality stretching, because it really makes a difference in the quality of what we're listening back to. And then we click preview, because computers are computers and you never know what's going to happen. So here we click preview.
Saying you'll never leave me, the touch of
Okay, I think that's good for now. So we click apply. And it does change. These things right here, when I clicked on looping, are like what they call bookmarks. So it changes where they are because we stretched, like it said, we stretched the waveform. Now, as we listen to it at this tempo, this would be the homework, so to speak. For a lesson, we would just maybe listen to it maybe 5 times, and then Ken, I want you to sing along with it just a couple of times, and then we'll go from there as to what we're going to do next. But at home, you would want to listen to this maybe 30 or 40 times, because even though you could say, oh, Alison Krauss sings very simply, there's a lot of detail in her feeling, her phrasing, the way she says her words. Not that we're going to try to copy her accent, because some people wouldn't want that. But just the phrasing and how she attacks things, and whether she's swooping into a note or whether she's... Anyway, this will all become very obvious.
So do you want to change the pitch now? Or
no, let's look at this
let's
first.
just go with it, all right.
Yeah, let's see how it feels an octave down. Because obviously Ken's not going to sing it an octave up. Even though, who knows, I've taught him how to sing high.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
I can hit what, a G, a G5
All right.
on a good day.
Here we go.
saying you'll never leave me, the touch of your hand says you'll catch me if ever I fall. Saying you'll never leave me.
Listen a couple of more times, Ken.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, no, just listen. Don't sing.
Ever I
You'll miss things if you start singing too soon.
saying you'll never leave me, the touch of your hand says you'll catch me if ever I fall. Saying you'll never leave me, the touch of your hand says you'll catch me if ever I fall.
One more time.
Saying you'll never leave me, the touch of your hand says you'll catch me if ever I fall.
Go for it, Ken.
And you'll never leave me,
the
touch of your hand
says
as
you'll
you
catch
catch me
me if
ever I fall. Saying you'll never leave me,
the
touch of your hand says you'll catch me if ever I fall.
Okay, so stop it here. So, to be realistic, I would not expect anyone to match her phrasing within 5 listens, but you were starting to get some of them. How does
you
it
notice
feel?
she never says when? She misses the. She
I'd have
never
to-
articulates whenever.
Oh, you mean whenever? Yeah,
Yeah.
she goes ever.
I fall.
Yeah, and I was going to point out there's a glottal attack there, and what that means is there's no consonant in front of the word, so it's ever. Whereas if she had sang whenever, it would have probably been smoother. Whenever I
fall.
there
And
wouldn't
I
be a
think she
glottal
does it- I
attack.
think she does it in other places. That's just maybe one of those studio artifacts that, it was a good take.
Absolutely, and that's what we want to learn. And actually, this is live.
Well, that maybe makes it more. It is so easy to just gloss over a word. You want to get to or you're feeling it, and they just don't ever. And the audience will fill in the word. We did
That's right.
for a long time. It wasn't until about the second or third time in that I said, "Oh, wait a minute, she's missing a syllable."
Right. And like I say, you're listening much more carefully than an audience would.
Right.
Which is what we'll get at. So do you want, let me make an arbitrary statement here. So if she's singing, let's see. Da, 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 da. I think that's about right.
Touch of your hand.
Yeah, I think that's an A. I don't think the sheet music's in the same key, but so that's her energy. Now, in theory, the male energy, the tenor energy, would be approximately a fourth away, which would make your high note an E. So I think to get the energy you want where you're at right now, I think we're going to go down. You tell me if this is right. I think we're going to go down a sixth.
6 semitones.
No, a
Six
sixth
full
interval.
steps.
Interval. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 intervals. So it would be the touch of your hand. See, that's the tenor.
Whenever I fall.
How's that feel?
Yeah, I think I can get there.
Well, it's not a matter of
Yeah.
whether you can get to what's comfortable.
Well,
Should we go a little lower?
no.
Okay.
Let's try it there because it still puts me at a relatively low spot where
Okay.
the energy I might have to get it.
Okay. All right, so that's the next thing we can do with Audacity. We've already slowed the tempo, but we didn't change the pitch when we slowed the tempo, which is something that only digital software can do. So we're going to change the pitch, and here's the box. And you see here, I'm going to put a 0 in here because Audacity does not know what key we're in because we didn't record this from the original. We flew it in, as they call it these days. So we have to put a 0 in there. Then we're going to put minus, what did I say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good, minus 7. And now we're in a key that will be more comfortable for Ken to learn this in and more appropriate for the feel of it. Now she's a tenor.
Your hand.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to click apply. Now that we're in a new key, it's worth let's listen to it. Listen to it 3 times before you start singing to kind of adjust to the new key. Oh, she's saying if ever, I think. Stop that for a moment. So I heard actually if
Yes, and I definitely heard it in the lower
key.
register that I didn't hear her. It's there. It's probably what you're
Yeah, she takes a
hearing it
breath
there.
and goes, if she goes, if ever, it's like, it's
Yeah.
almost like a whisper.
It just
If
comes.
ever I fall. Yeah. But see, these are the details. A great saying for this is the devil's in the details. So what makes the difference between Alison Krauss and Whitney Houston? All of these details. What makes the difference between Dido and Alison Krauss? All these details. Christina Aguilera, whoever, Post Malone. It's in the details. So if you don't know the details, you don't know the artist. You might say, well, I know that artist. I listen to him all the time. Well, yeah, you know you're looking at the picture and you know what the picture looks like, but you don't know what the brush marks look like. You don't know how this artist creates the sensation you're getting by looking at the painting, so to speak. All right, so here you go, Ken. You can sing along. Now, what we're trying to create here, Ken already knows this, so sometimes I forget to mention it for you all who are tuning in. He's trying to create a unison with Alison. So once he creates a unison, his voice and her voice will meld to the point where it disappears. It becomes a third voice. And that's when Ken knows that he's getting it, is when he feels that unison happening. And again, we won't get to that point today, but that's our goal, and I'll show you why that's a goal here in a moment. So go ahead and sing it a couple of times, Ken. Any questions before we move on? Okay, here we go.
Saying you'll never leave me, the touch of your hand says you reach me if ever I fall. Saying you'll never leave me, the touch of your hand says you reach me if ever I fall. Saying you'll never leave me, the touch of your hand says you catch me if ever I fall.
So you're doing the best on fall. That's where you're the closest. Now, if you don't want to sing the first part of it, if you want to wait, let her sing that and then come in. That can help your timing, because what happens is when I hit play and you're just jumping in, it throws your rhythm
Yeah, it
off.
almost would be better, just for future reference, give it a lead in.
Well, that's what I'm
As
talking
a famous
about.
vocal coach once told me, you got to play something before you start singing.
Right, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So we'll give that little hook in there, some space, and I'll come in on kind of that last phrase.
Well, no, you come in on. She's going. The lead in is. The starting point for you is. Da, 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 da. Okay, so let her sing. Let her sing that. Then you come in there. That's your lead in. Now, do you want more lead in? I can give you that.
No, we can do that.
Okay.
That's just for time's sake here.
Yeah, here we go.
Saying you'll never leave me, the touch of your hand says you catch me if ever I fall.
Much better.
Saying you'll never leave me, the touch of your hand says you catch me if ever I fall.
Yeah. So already Ken's getting much closer. There's many, many details, too many to go into without listening 30 or 40 times. I am pretty fast at this now, so I'm going to point out just a couple of things. I'm going to play and stop, play and stop.
Saying you'll never leave me, the touch
So right there, the touch of, see, that's very important. The touch of your
hand says
you'll catch me. Is it me? Ken?
Yeah.
Says you'll and you listen to the tenderness that comes in there.
Ever I fall.
Right, now we're coming to that. And that's great feel there, because it's like, whenever I fall.
And
It's
she
very.
scoops the eye a little bit too.
Uh,
I fall.
Yeah, yeah. Great. Those are the details. Right?
Fall.
Yeah, these are
That's how
critical.
she gets up there. I fall. So many of the singers that I've been listening to more carefully because of this
Yeah.
is they get to their note a little bit sneaky. They don't just like nail it. They slide into it.
Yep.
When it feels good, they hold it, and then they move on to the next one. And you never really notice that until you're listening this close. But that's like the Nancy Griffith.
Mm-hmm.
She started an octave below.
Yeah, with that boop. Yeah.
Scoots up, and then if you listen to more of her stuff, she definitely kind of moves.
And like
into
we
it.
talked, it's like speaking. The phrasing is very similar to speaking.
Well, I think that's what, when as artists we sing, people want to hear us like we are, not how we're trying to necessarily be. So I like the way she scoops that I, so I'm going to incorporate that maybe into another piece. And it also gives each of us permission to try, well, if I want to get to that B, and this is a true story, if I want to get to that B in this song, I'm going to have to start maybe even at the G to get up there. Gee whiz.
Right.
And it doesn't sound bad it may not feel good at the beginning, but it doesn't sound bad to the audience.
Well, and the
normal.
audience is our goal. We want to be artists, meaning we want to project ourselves, but we also want to be heard in a way that people will be able to respond to it the way we want them to. We're not entertainers. We're not trying to please all the people all the time, but what you're saying is very poignant. And then the next procedure here is, okay, so when you take this home, you say, okay, I'm going to listen 30, 40 times in this slow position, in the key change. I'm going to sing 10 or 15 times, see how my unison is doing. If I feel like I'm starting to create a unison, then this is the next step. We're going to record it. So I'm going to click record, and you'll see a magic thing happen with the multitrack. A new track is going to pop up, and Ken's going to sing along so that he can hear the difference between him and Alison, so he can really understand. No, not to be critical, but to learn. Like, okay, where is the difference? Where am I a little bit ahead of her? Where am I a little bit behind her? Etc. You see, so that's the point of this part of the equation. All right, here we go.
Saying you'll never leave me. The
Capture your hand as you reach me, ever I fall.
Excellent. So now there's. Oh, wait a minute. No, that should have recorded. Let me just check something here real quick. Sometimes when we go on StreamYard, things, they shouldn't change, but sometimes they do. See, where my effect?
I don't see any. Sometimes on Logic, you'll see little bumps.
Oh, there you are.
There it is.
There's your voice. That doesn't look right, though. See, because if I was singing, I know it would be going into Audacity. Let me make sure that something hasn't changed here. Recording device is USB codec. Yeah, that's where we're coming in. Because where do we need to go into black hole? Think for a minute, folks, on my technology here. So we're both in FirePlay, and FirePlay is going into Audacity, just the way it would as if Ken was right here in my studio. Let me see what we got recorded here, then I'll have a better idea of what I'm looking at.
saying you'll never leave me.
Yeah, that's
The
not.
touch of your hand says you can.
Catch me.
We did this the other day and it worked.
The hardest part of this phrase has been for me to get the catch me.
Okay,
Catch
I'm
me
gonna
if ever I fall.
go ahead and put you into black hole. Let's see what happens. Okay, here's the spot again. I'm just going to click record and talk for a second here. Check 1 2 1 2 1 2. There we go. Okay. That's something to memorize. It's something I need to change. Whenever we're doing this on StreamYard, I have to put audio setup into Black Hole. All right, here you go, Ken.
Well, yeah.
Let me lock in this spot again. There we go.
Saying you'll never leave me. The
Touch of your hand says you'll catch me if ever I fall.
Okay, let's see what we got. That still looks a little funny to me, but let's just listen.
saying you'll never leave me. The touch of your hand says
It's just an echo.
me if ever
Pardon me, folks. Recording device is not going to be that. If it's not BB cable, then it has to be US codec. But it wasn't. Well, I apologize if we don't get this done. But what'll happen is once you've recorded your voice here, like I said, you can go back and check your unison. If your unison is off, then you go back to listening because you can't think this thing through. You don't know what she's going to do next, as we showed on the rhythms of Melodyne. And then you go back and listen, then you go back and sing until you get closer, then you go back and listen, you go back and sing until you get closer. In the meantime, I'll figure out why this didn't work for the next time. But that's the procedure, and it works. As Ken has already done this before, he knows. So it might be because I don't know.
It may be that's where there's a little breakdown between being in the streaming and the microphone's off. I might have to come in that way.
Well, you know,
Although,
you're
you can
coming
hear me.
into Audacity. Oh, maybe you're coming into Audacity on your own channel, and that might be the reason it's not working. I know we're. Let me pull this up. We are broadcasting, yeah. So there's no problem there. But see, you're coming in on another channel, and somehow that channel is not being fed into Audacity. And I had this working for Olga. We did this just a couple of days ago.
Okay, what do you hear now?
Whoops! Yeah, don't do that.
Okay.
Now we got echo all over the place.
Okay.
We can't put
You can't open
StreamYard.
that up,
Yeah,
yeah.
StreamYard and the only question here is using FarPlay while you're singing and it not going into Audacity. If you're here in the studio, that would not be an issue. And usually the way Ken and I work is he's running Audacity, so he's playing his guitar or whatever. So this doesn't even become an issue. Not excuses, just reasons. But anyway, so I think we can go ahead and kind of wrap the show up at this point. But I want to do my little sales pitch here. So this is what I call the vocal muse technique. And it also turns into emotional expression, which Ken alluded to earlier. After you memorize all of these things from all the different artists that you love, they become part of your subconscious. And then as you're creating your own way of singing this song or your own song or any other song, then that information just comes out without you even knowing where it came from. And that is what all artists do. They listen to other artists and then they recreate their own. This just happens to be lightning speed. We're learning what Alison Krauss took most of her life to put together, and we're learning it within moments. And then, of course, also, after you learn it at the slow tempo, if you want to actually perform it, then you'll speed it back up so that you're getting it at the original tempo. And you can do that even if you just want to learn, well, how does it sound if she does it at the original tempo, and how would it sound if I matched her at that? So all kinds of learning opportunities here for everyone. So this little QR code over here on the left is the Vocal Muse Suite, which is a video program that takes you from being very much a beginner all the way through completing a complete song. Any song you want to put in there, it doesn't matter. I happen to have the Rose in there for demonstration purposes, but you can put in anything you want, and then it becomes a principle and a procedure, and you don't need the program anymore. You can do it flying on your own. Now, my students use me because I speed things up for them, and they're in a hurry. They want to get better really, really fast. The QR code on the right is my new book, Sing from Feel, Revealing Your Authentic Voice. And this goes into all of the emotional sides, and the vocal muse technique is mentioned in there, but it goes into all kinds of how do you feel this, how do you get that, how do you do this, so forth and so on. And it's great. I don't know if you haven't had a chance to look at it, have you, Ken?
I have not.
I'll get you a copy. But it goes into the real artistic side. There's no vocal technique involved. Vocal technique should not be taught by books, videos, programs, or even live streams. Vocal technique should be done one-on-one. Now, if Ken and I were working one-on-one and I was working on his technique, that would be fine, but I would not expose you guys to it because none of what I did with Ken may be appropriate for you, or maybe only 5%. And how would you know? You're not a voice teacher. So it's not a good idea, and that's why I don't have any videos out there on how to sing vocal technique. So that's just a warning. You know, you can use YouTube if you want. You can buy books if you want, but you're trying to teach yourself, and you're not a voice teacher. So I say don't do that.
It's a little difficult.
But
it's hard to follow some of these folks because you're not getting the real feedback.
you're not getting any
You know,
feedback.
it's like on the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
You can pick up a riff, you can listen, you can do some things, but if you really want to dig a little deeper, you really need to have somebody there to say, okay, slow it down, now do this. Did you hear this? Oops.
Well, and you won't hurt yourself. You won't get nodules or polyps like some people that I've worked with who've gotten polyps from working with programs like that. So that's another reason I know they don't work, is because I get to be the one who gets to fix the problems that those caused. Now, the exercises may be very legit. It's just that because this is the way I put it. If I put out a video on how to do vocal technique, I become a deaf, blind voice teacher.
Because you're not hearing the student.
Yeah, I can't see what they're doing. I don't know their body language. I don't know anything. And they're deaf and blind because they're singers, and singers are deaf. Well, not deaf, but singers are blind, and they can't count on their ears until they've been coached long enough to say, yeah, that's the way it should sound. So we avoid that. So the book will not go into vocal technique. So don't buy it for that reason, if that's what you're thinking. But you can put the QR code, you can put your phone up there, get the QR code, you can look at the website, see if it makes any sense to you. If it'll help you in any way, that'd be great. If it doesn't, then move on to other books, or don't buy a book at all. Nobody here is telling you, buy a book. So any ending questions or comments, Ken?
No, it was really interesting to sing along.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, it's a good thing I've left some of my inhibition behind, but yeah, it's I think after a while, I like that song anyway. It has a lot of, and she does it so well.
She does.
In terms of her emotional, she does everything with emotional. She sings oldie moldies with Down by the Riverside, the kinds of things.
Well, like we were saying, she wouldn't be Alison Krauss if she didn't.
Yeah. So, in fact, I think that she's one of the singers on Let's Go Down to the River and Pray in the movie Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh, wow.
And
That's an old movie. She's been around a while.
Yeah, but she's on there with, I think, Emmylou Harris and
Oh, cool.
I don't know who the third person is, but it's real haunting. It's really haunting.
Well, we've talked about many times that emotion trumps pitch and rhythm every time.
It's a good thing, too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Scrunch up my eyes and dig a little deeper.
Yeah. Well, and you're going to get faster and faster. That's another thing that I've noticed, not only myself, but in my students, that after you've been exposed to this and you use it kind of on at least a semi-regular basis, you'll pick up things at the original tempo that you were missing. So the slowing down makes you smarter. It makes you know how to listen for things.
Right.
And then you don't have to slow them down. But I've slowed things down as much as 60% to grasp certain things because they're just going by too quick. That reminds me, there's one other thing I want to play for you all. Let me get YouTube up here real quick. I have a little demo that I put together that shows how people quite often try to sing a new song. This is an Ed Sheeran piece, and then have you see how someone who followed this procedure got it down. So it's right here. Okay, so I'm going to have to put this in the share screen. So give me just a moment, please. Oh, here we go, StreamYard. And we'll share it on the screen. There it is. Okay, I think we should have the audio on. If you hear any, Kenneth, let me know if you hear any echo when I'm playing this. And we're sharing, and I'm going to play it right here. No, that's the wrong one. Sorry. This is what happens when you think of things at the last minute. Here we go. Let's pull this up in full screen. Hi, this is Brad Chapman, Radical Vocal Coach. I'm going to show you how Ed Sheeran is such a great, incredible star, etc. In other words, not only him, but you'll see why it adapts to any singer. Okay, hold on a second. The way we try to learn from these people has not been working. Didn't work for me, doesn't work for hardly any student I've had or anybody I've ever known. So I'm going to show you the way we do it, and you'll see why it doesn't work. Then I'll show you the results of my VMS system, and you're going to love it. So I'm going to pause this for a minute. You probably could hear it, but you couldn't see it, which is not a big deal. But let's see. Back to StreamYard. Remove that. Let's share the right screen this time. Okay. Why singing? Yeah, this is the one. There we go. Okay, share that. Put it on stage. This is no easy task, you guys. If you ever decide to do this, be ready to put your time in. Okay, here it is. Again, Ken, if you hear any echo, let me know.
Okay.
Here's play, and I'm going to expand the screen, make it even bigger, because Brad wants to be seen big.
Hi, this is Brad Chapman, Radical Vocal Coach. I'm going to show you how Ed Sheeran is such a great, incredible star, etc. In other words, not only him, but you'll see why it adapts to any singer. The way we try to learn from these people has not been working. Didn't work for me, doesn't work for hardly any student I've had or anybody I've ever known. So I'm going to show you the way we do it, and you'll see why it doesn't work. Then I'll show you the results of my VMS system, and you're going to love it. Hang on for a great ride.
Not bad. You see, so that's the unison there. That's what we were talking about.
This is Brad Chapman.
Oops.
Radical
Shut
Vocal
up.
Coach. I'm
We
going
don't
to
want
show
to
you.
hear
You're in a loop.
Yeah, I was going to say, we don't want to hear
Forever.
you again. Shut up. I got to tell myself to shut up. That's always fun. So that's the unison that we're talking about. Once the singer masters the unison, then they know how to do what Ed Sheeran does. And that lick that he does is very quick. But the heart keeps falling too. And that took some time and some slowing down to get that accurate. I didn't even know Ed could do stuff like that till we chose it. Any questions on that, Mr. Ken?
No, looks good.
All right, we have had a great time, and these streams will be erratic in timing. I can't promise you the same time every week because my teaching schedule is much more important to me anyway, and we'll see you the next time. So we'll say thank you. Oh, wait a minute. Be sure and like and subscribe if you did like this. And even you, Ken, if you could subscribe, it would be great. The more subscribers there are, the better the logarithms are as far as what YouTube selects. And then I can start to monetize.
I don't know where I can do that on this.
Oh, you'll have to
particular
go
video. I
to
actually
YouTube.
your
Yeah.
Go to YouTube.
I'll send you the link.
All right, sounds
All
like
right.
a plan.
Thank
all right,
you,
it's been
everybody, for
fun,
joining
as
us.
Always.
And we will do it again,
All
especially
right.
Ken, because he's one of my favorite guests.
Everybody be well.
All right, take
Sing
care.
your heart out.
Oh, one more thing. We used FarPlay on the audio today so that Ken could sing in real time with the music. You can't do that with StreamYard. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. You can't do that with this type of thing. You can't do it with Zoom or with Skype or with the streaming softwares. You have to use something where you can have low to no latency, and you have to be able to crosstalk. So be sure and look up FarPlay. They don't sponsor me. I don't own any stock, but I do love them. They're at farplay.io. Anyway, now I'm done.
All right.
Good day,
with that,
everybody. Thank you.
Adieu.
Bye-bye.